All right, let's look at metric conversions. We've got 3 kilometers, and we want to find out how many meters will go into 3 kilometers. You start out by writing what you're given, so you have 3 kilometers. You always divide by what you're given in order to cancel it, so we're going to divide by kilometers, and we're going to multiply by the base unit. The metric base unit in this problem is the meter, and we're mainly going to be working with distance. The base unit is the meter. For time, the base unit is the second. For temperature, the base unit is the Kelvin. For mass, the base unit is the gram. We're primarily going to be working with those. Now, then you look at this and you say, okay, what does kilo mean? Kilo is 10 to the third, which is 1,000. So it's larger than a meter. The larger quantity always gets the 1, and the other unit always gets the number that the prefix represents. So kilo is 1,000. That means that it takes 1,000 meters to fit in 1 kilometer. Now, this is a conversion factor. Okay, so this is the method of converting from one unit to another. And this means that this distance has to equal this distance. And 1,000 meters has to equal 1 kilometer. So you're really multiplying by one quantity, one idea. When you divide by kilometers, they cancel. You're left with meters. And this is just 3 times 10 to the third meters. All right, number 2, we're going from 5 kilometers to centimeters. Now, a kilometer is a large unit. A centimeter is a very small unit. On the meter stick, there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So this is 1/100th of a meter. So it's going to take a lot of centimeters to go into 5 kilometers. So you know, just conceptually, that you're going to end up with a really large number. We always write what we're given, 5 kilometers. You divide by what you're given and multiply by the base. Okay, so divide by the unit that you're given and multiply by the base. Then we're going to divide by the base to cancel it because we're trying to convert to centimeters. You never want to... Sometimes I see this. Divide by kilometers, multiply by centimeters. You never want to do that because you want to convert to the base unit first. Because the prefix chart gives you numbers for what things are equal to based on base units. And now you just look at this. Now that we have the units set up, we plug in the numbers. You always look at meter and kilometer. The kilometer is larger. The larger quantity gets the 1. Kilo means 1,000, or 10 to the third. So 10 to the third meters can fit into 1 kilometer. They're equal to each other. And now you look at centimeters and meters. A centimeter is this distance here, and a meter is the entire meter stick, and it takes 100 centimeters into a meter. So centi is 10 to the negative second, but 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. Now let's look at this in terms of centi meaning 10 to the negative second. 1 meter has 100 centimeters in it, but 1 centimeter, 1 single centimeter, is equal to 100th of a meter. Now, that's also written like this. 1 centimeter is equal to 100th of a meter. And if you look at this, that's 1 over 10 squared. And if you move the 10 squared back up top, anytime you move a power of 10, an exponent from the denominator to the numerator, it becomes negative, and that's why it's 10 to the negative second. Because 1 single centimeter is a fraction of a meter. All right, now, back to the problem. We have 5 kilometers. Divide by kilometers, multiply by meters, divide by meters, multiply by centimeters, and then we plugged in the values. Both of these exponents are at the top. When you multiply exponents, you add. So this is going to be 5 times 10 to the 3 plus 2, and that's going to be 5 times 10 to the 5th. You do have to show all of your work. All right, now let's go on to number 3. Okay, always write down what you're given. You're given 10 millimeters. You divide by what you're given and multiply by the base. You have millimeters. The base for this is the meter. Then you divide by the base and multiply by what you're trying to find. Now you have to look at this and find out what's the larger quantity. Milli means 10 to the negative third, so it's a really small unit. This means that 1,000 millimeters can fit into 1 meter. So 1 meter has 1,000 millimeters in it. Let's write that out like this. 1 meter is equal to 10 to the third millimeters, but 1 millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. And you would write that as 1 over 10 to the third, which is 10 to the negative third meters. So 1 millimeter is 1,000th of a meter. Okay, back to this. Between a centimeter and a meter is larger, and it takes 100 centimeters to fit into a meter. Now, these are set up differently than the previous problem. Both exponents are on top. The 10 to the second is in the numerator, and the 10 to the third is in the denominator. When you divide exponents, you subtract. So this is going to be 10 times 10 to 2 minus 3 centimeters. And 10 times 10, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. You can only have one number to the left of the decimal. The decimal is located here. We're going to move it one space to the left. If you move the decimal to the left, you increase the exponent. So this is going to change by 1 unit from negative 1 to 0. So this becomes 1 times 10 to the 0 centimeters. And 1 times 10 to the 0 is just 1 times 1, which is 1 centimeter. And now we know that 10 millimeters is equal to 1 centimeter.